Start your show now.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
With Election Day in less than 2 months, what is on the line is not a simple difference of policies, it is the fate of our nation. Judicial activists at all levels have put roadblocks in the way of justice. The 34-time convicted felon will not see a prison cell before Election Day. MAGA activists at state and local levels are working to disenfranchise voters, and foreign governments are paying conservative bloggers to spread their propaganda. On Liberal Dan Radio, we cut through the lies, unwind the spin, and give facts to counter their fiction. Will you do what needs to be done to make sure our nation isn't taken over by an autocratic despot? Or will you sit back and watch as our nation falls to ruin? The clock is ticking. Act now, before it's too late. Talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, it's area code 914-803-4131. That is 914-803-4131. Or you can join us in the chat rooms, either at liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel, or the twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, usually it's best to follow along in those chat rooms. We use Blog Talk Radio for call-ins and for a soundboard. Today, specifically, there may be a video that I do react to, and that video I'll be reacting to. You won't be able to hear the audio when I'm doing it on Blog Talk Radio. So if you want to hear the whole thing or see the whole thing, you gotta come to liberaldanradio.com or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Either way is a better way to watch than just on Blog Talk Radio. Anyway. So, if you want to support the show, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, or follow on Twitch. You can become a Liberal Danimal on YouTube for as little as $2 a month, or gift memberships as well. You can do super chats, super stickers, etc. I'm looking for people, since this is the 13th season of Liberal Dan Radio. I'm wanting people to do 13 things to help the show. You share 13 videos, like 13 videos, comment on 13 videos, etc. Or super chat, super sticker, any form of 13 or whatever, if you like that way. Bits, you could cheer bits, 13 bits over on Twitch. You could also use Amazon Prime. It doesn't cost you a dime to subscribe to the Twitch channel as well. Again, twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Subscribe for free with Amazon Prime, or just the regular price as well. Either way helps out. Liberal Dan on Venmo. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com, click /liberaldanradio, and that'll also get you there as well. Thank you, Fancy, for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Congratulations, Leslie, for getting a gifted membership. Shouts out to everyone in the chat room. First and foremost, the mod squad, Jolie and Aaron, the co-hostesses with the mostesses. We got Steve from across the pond, Jackie, Jeff, Fancy, Alarasia. Let's see, who else? Am I missing anybody as of yet? Mad Mac, good to see you. Yes, Slava Ukraini. One of the reasons why we need to defeat Donald Trump is to not allow him to be giving away the world to Putin, and that's what he would do if he is allowed to be president. One of the many things he will do. Some of the things that he'll do, you may have heard in the new intro. I had to replace my intro because my intro is now wrong, or my old intro is now wrong, because as of last Wednesday, as far as I knew, it was correct to say that Donald Trump could be sitting in a jail cell on election day and still be elected president of these United States. However, unfortunately, as we've all found out, the New York judge is going to delay sentencing until after the election because he doesn't want to give the proprieties, the feeling that there might be improprieties or whatever, election interference or whatever. Donald Trump has been giving so many passes. Like, people used to say there's two systems of justice. No, we're far beyond two systems of justice in this country. You have the system of justice for the wealthy people. You have the system of justice for the people that aren't wealthy. You have system of justice for black people versus white people. I mean, that's four right there. And then you got to add the system of justice that Donald Trump has now been given in combination by the Supreme Court and peons at the lower court level who are willing to do his bidding to make sure that he doesn't see any justice for the crimes that he has been convicted of and for the other crimes that he should be convicted of, including the crime of mishandling classified information, a crime that he turned from a misdemeanor to a felony from a bill that he signed into law. And he's just stupid enough to then go break it. I mean, I can't fathom how dumb one must be to sign something into law, to make something a felony, and then just go ahead and violate it. But I mean, I guess that's par for the course for conservatism, right? So, that and especially par for the course from him, who thinks he's untouchable and who thinks that nothing is going to stop him from getting back into office. And so far, the Supreme Court and many of the people in the lower courts have firmly gotten behind him.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Yes, Mandy's Candy, you're absolutely right. I'm sick of them coddling him over it. He has destroyed our institutions. Yeah, he has destroyed our institutions, but the people within those institutions have also enabled that destruction. So they play a strong part in what's going on here. It's sick. Hey, Teresa, what's going on? Good to see you. Yes. I feel somewhat, as Teresa says, R.I.P. James Earl Jones. I was wearing this shirt, i.e. my Darth Vader shirt, before he died, before it was announced that he died. So a part of me is just like, I hope I didn't jinx anything. I want to wear my Darth Vader shirt today, and I wore my Darth Vader shirt today, and then Darth Vader died. I'm like, so yes, lots of nerds are going to mourn the passing of Darth Vader. Lots of nerds are going to, lots of other people, Disney freaks, Disney files, whatever, will mourn the passing of Mufasa again. Kind of like a Batman movie. Mufasa dies once and now he's dead again, and you have to deal with it multiple times. Kind of like in Batman movies, how they always show his parents getting killed, or in Spider-Man movies, how they're always showing Peter Parker's grandfather or Uncle Ben getting killed. Yeah, I feel like, all of the nerds and Disney files and everybody else who has loved James Earl Jones have having to see Mufasa die and then Mufasa die again. It's just So yeah, it's terrible. Yes, I am bad luck, apparently. Should have been like, if you don't want me wearing if there's somebody who's old who you don't want me wearing a thing, I'll take contributions to, like, don't wear those shirts. So yeah, there's that. How else have the courts pissed me off today or this week or whatever? The courts have managed to piss me off. Because we're back around, like I got another notification about how there's another case against the Biden administration getting more student loan forgiveness. Apparently they were getting their systems ready and to be prepared to have a new round of loan forgiveness, but it wasn't actually starting yet. But they were wanting the servicers, the people that service the student loans, to be ready for it. And, of course, the conservative states that got the other Biden student loan plan thrown out have still been able to assert that they have standing. Why? Because of MOHELA. MOHELA being the Missouri, whatever it stands for, it basically processes loans. Mohila is where a lot of the loans have gone to. They're not just Missouri loans, but a lot of the loans that are under public service loan forgiveness have gone to Mohila. And Mohila itself isn't necessarily the bad guy here. I mean, in this particular lawsuit thing, because in the previous lawsuit, Mohila had no desire to sue. But the reason that the state of Missouri and the other states were able to establish standing, if you remember me doing a live Fat Man rant on this, it's in my Fat Man rant videos. Go back and check that playlist. It's in there. Go watch it, because I get pissed off, and I'm still pissed off, because the idea here, to remind everybody, is that because forgiving a loan would mean that that's one less loan for Mohila to service. That means that Mohila, even though it's a separate corporate entity, state created, but it's a state created like it's a non-governmental organization or whatever. It's a separate thing. It's supposed to do its own lawsuits. And there are many ways which the state of Missouri is like, you know what, we're not them, they're not us. But in this case, they still were able to make the argument, oh, well, we're technically them still, because it's bringing in funds to the state, and those funds help fund other things that this state wants to do education-wise. And I'm like, but you're not entitled to our tax dollars. If a human being made the argument that they should have the right to sue because the action that a government official was doing was denying them money to come into their pockets, conservatives would not only laugh at them, conservatives would actively say that's not what standing is for, blah, 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 there's no way you should have standing. But in this case, they're more than willing to abuse the standing, the idea of standing, in order to claim that, well, if you forgive loans, that means that Mohila services less loans. That means that we take in less money, so there's our damages. It's like saying people are going to shop at my store less because I don't have these many products. Let's say they decide they want to do a recall on a product that a store sells. Well, we don't want you to do the recall on the product because it's going to mean less customers for us. So, if the product is toxic, you shouldn't be selling it, and you shouldn't be able to profit off of the back of other people's pain. Well, student loans is another thing where the state of Missouri and other states are profiting off of the pain of people who have taken out student loans and now are wanting to, they've paid back lots of money, but Mohila or Missouri through Mohila wants to get all those servicing fees, and as such, that's how they're able to sue. And it's utter and complete BS. It's utter and complete BS, but yet conservatives are lining up right behind it. Why? Because nobody wants to do anything that's good if that good thing will help Joe Biden. It's the same thing. Conservatives killed the border plan. Why? Because it would help Joe Biden, or now it would help Vice President Harris. I mean, how much more dumb can we get to allow this crap to happen? And normally the court is very strict about standing. So the fact that that these fools were allowed to get standing on such a horrible premise just goes to show that the Supreme Court is just full of conservative activists legislating from the bench and making up things as they see fit as they go along to harm the Democrats and to help Donald John Trump. Yeah, Mandy's, it'll actually help the country, but they don't care about helping the country. No, they don't, not one bit. And look, some people might make the argument something might be helpful to the country. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Biden administration has the authority to do it. I would argue that because of laws that have been passed on student loans, they absolutely have the right to do it. The same authority that DeVos had during the Trump administration to pause interest rates and to put everybody in forbearance and to stop payments while we're in the middle of a pandemic, that same authority should have allowed the Biden administration to put some cancellation on some debts, especially if it's been shown that the servicers haven't been behaving properly, which Mohila hasn't is one of the examples of what happened. So that's why I'm not saying Milo's not good. It's just they're not necessarily responsible for these lawsuits happening. They're just happening because Missouri is using their name to piggyback standing on. Again, it's wildly frustrating. Impeccable Living. I have a grinder hookup on his way over. I'll try and come back. There's a dirty comment there to be made. I would say Pixar didn't happen, but I don't necessarily know if I want the pics. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Sorry, Donald. But I hope you have fun. Be safe. So anyway, yeah, I am thoroughly annoyed, and I have no faith whatsoever that the Supreme Court will do the right thing here, because they didn't do the right thing in the last student loan argument as well. They're just going to keep on killing this plan, and the SAVE plan has been saving me like $250 a month, because my payment dropped from like $300 to $50 every month because of the calculation of how the SAVE plan is done. And if these conservatives kill the SAVE plan, they are going to be responsible for wrecking my already bad finances that have nothing to do with Biden. My bad finances have nothing to do with Biden. My bad finances have to do with horrible, horrible things just piling up on me all at once. Who knows what's going to happen this week when it comes to this storm? It's a very low storm. It should move through quickly. We aren't expecting to see a whole bunch of crap from it. They have given school off on Wednesday and Thursday. The storm should be rolling in late Wednesday night, so I should be able to do a podcast, but the electricity people in our neighborhood suck, so it's more than possible that a light breeze might hit the house and I lose power again. Of course, if I lose power again and I lose power for more than 4 hours, guess what? I lose everything in my fridge. If it's for longer, I lose everything in my freezers, and that's not going to be fun whatsoever. So that's more money that's going to have to come out of my pocket. What else? Oh yeah, Kia. Remember Kia? Remember I was bitching about Kia the other week about how they with the horribleness that they did with the loan, and how they threatened to repossess the car if we wouldn't fill out the new loan, the loan documentation. And I'm just like, what? If we're current on the loan, why are you going to threaten to repossess the car? And then they wouldn't let us use our joint income to help pay for it. So only my wife's income could be used on the credit application, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Well, now, again, this is my former mother, my passed away mother-in-law's Kia Soul that we got in. They needed to do a alignment, and because of the alignment, let's roll back first. First, my wife brings her car into Kia. She needs to get work done on everything. She needs new brake pads. She needs two new tires, everything like that. So before she goes off on her trip to Baltimore to go deal with her medical stuff, that's $800 that came out of our pockets to get the car ready to go. And of course, it needs to get done. But then when we got there and swapped vehicles, they're like, okay, well, this car was supposed to have an alignment done. It was never done, and a previous manager said that they would be giving us free alignment to cover the fact that they were supposed to be covering the alignment. Well, they went under the car, and they said, well, we can't do an alignment because you have a bent strut. Apparently, when the people stole her car and went joyriding, the bent strut, or they hit something and bent the strut. And had they gone under and done at the dealership, had they gone over and looked at done an alignment, they would have realized, oh, this is a problem too. We need to add this to the insurance claim to have it be paid. Well, that didn't happen, and now it's well too late to reopen the insurance claim, and we didn't realize it was going to be more than just an alignment. Otherwise, it would have acted quicker. But because now it's more than an alignment, we has to come out of pocket for it. Why doesn't the dealership come out of pocket for it? Well, it's a new dealership. It's new owners. New owners bought the dealership, so therefore they don't feel responsible to make up for the previous dealership's F-ups. I don't know, if you buy a business, you should be taking on the good and the bad, right? And should be working to make other things right? So as of right now, I have yet to hear back as to whether or not they're going to be able to cut anything substantial off the price of the cost to fix the strut or replace the strut and the strut bracket and then do the alignment. I know they're giving me half off the alignment instead of the full price alignment that they were supposed to be giving off according to the previous manager. I think maybe I might get like some coupons and $80 more off, but it's just more money that I wasn't anticipating spending at this point in time, and I'm not very happy about it. So see, I still hear rumors that Kia is wanting to get into NASCAR. That would be a hoot. I would absolutely root against everybody else. See, for bottom of my deep freezer is lined with frozen milk jugs. That does work. Well, I don't have any room in my freezer for anything. That's the problem. We've been trying to do about a day or two. We've been trying to go in and clear out some stuff in the freezer to make room for it. So maybe we can try and do that, but we'll see. Yeah. So yeah, the whole Kia thing is a big mess, and I'm probably going to have to come another $800 out of pocket, and everything I had just paid off one of my credit cards, and it's almost already maxed out again, and it's ridiculous. Like, this is how stressful sometimes my life can be. It's Trucker John. Good to see you, Trucker John. Thanks for showing up. Hey, Scott, again, anybody else I may have missed during my ranting or whatever, let's see. My silly, foolish sister, especially my younger sister, believes the world is worse off with a Democratic president and House and Senate. They are real conservative. OMG and WTF, right? Exactly. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that people actually believe that. There is a Kia lawsuit because engines were freezing. That happened to me. Ugh. That's crazy. Anyway. So let's go ahead. Let's pop over to the studio. And, I did want to say first before we do that, today is R.I.P. Herman Cain. Today is Herman Cain Day. Why is it Herman Cain Day? Remember his whole plan of 999, where you do 9% sales tax, 9% income tax, 9%. I don't know if it was corporate tax or tariffs or what, but his whole plan was 999, which made me think that got Donald Trump's German all tickled. But yeah, so today is Herman Cain Day because it's 9/9. And just remember, it's Donald Trump who killed Herman Cain because he insisted on having the rally in Tulsa in the middle of the frickin' pandemic. And that's the same rally where he said that he wanted to slow down testing because when you have less testing, you have less cases, because he's an idiot. Absolute frickin' idiot, Donald Trump. But let's go ahead and play first before we get to anything else. Let's go ahead and play this week's Hypocrite of the Week, if I could find it. There it is. Here we go. Let's go.
This week's Hypocrites of the Week are the National Fraternal Order of Police. The FOP flopped on their responsibility to look out for law enforcement. Not only did they back a 34-time convicted felon, they also backed someone who admits to groping people without their consent and who would pardon the insurrectionists who attacked police officers. Back the blue, this gives the blue a black eye. Next time they ask for a donation, I know what I'll be saying. To see who next week's Hypocrite of the Week will be, tune in live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on liberaldanradio.com or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio for more talk from the left. That's right.
There you go. So, yeah, the Fraternal Order of Police nationwide backed Donald Trump, endorsed his presidency. How can you take them seriously at all? If they're supposed to be supportive of the police, if they're supposed to be supporting people who are going to be the best for, I mean, they say back the blue, hashtag back the blue. Well, how are you backing the blue? By backing somebody who would pardon people who attacked cops. The only time they want to back the blue is when the blue is beating up on black people. If the blue is going after MAGA folks who are doing an insurrection and yelling that they want to off the VP with a big thing of gallows in the front or whatever, they don't care. They don't care. Who's fighting for you? Let's see this. Let's open this up because this should be interesting. Let's Let's go to the alternate. Who's fighting for you under the Fraternal Order of Police?
What do you think of this idea of defunding the police?
I actually don't think it's far enough.
To end policing as we know it.
Activists and some city officials.
Calls to defund are only
Who will stand
louder.
up for those? Who will stand up for those sworn to protect? Who will not for you? Not you, Fraternal Order of the Police. You're not standing up for those who were sworn to protect. You're standing up for someone who is more than happy to see police get attacked on our Capitol grounds.
Overnight, 800,000 men and women who protect their communities every single day went from public servants to public enemies.
Maybe that's because the police officers are not doing their jobs properly when it comes to dealing with individuals, who are black. Like, when police officers look at a black person and see the blackness as a weapon, and then their gut reaction is to, harm them, that's a problem. Meanwhile, they were much more lenient with the many white folks who were trying to infiltrate the Capitol, and they still got beat up by those folks infiltrating the Capitol on January 6th. They still got, assaulted. And Donald Trump wants to pardon them. He calls them, political prisoners. He calls those people who beat up cops political prisoners, and the Fraternal Order of Police wants to back that schmuck.
Politicians and the media demonized each and every one of us. Brothers and sisters, this is a dangerous time for law enforcement, and it's created by people who are more interested in the problem than they are any solutions.
No, we want solutions to real problems, and the racism that has been pervasive in many a police department is a big problem. That you don't want to look inward. The thin blue line is very problematic in that it prevents people from coming forward, prevents people from, actually reporting their bad officers, and it makes it impossible for you to remove bad officers from the force. Because if you really cared about the policemen and women who serve in uniform, if you really cared about them, you would want to remove all of the bad police officers from their positions, because then you would make it easier for the people who are in the police department trying to do the right thing. You make it easier for them to do the right thing. Now, you have to worry that you might ruffle feathers if you report somebody who's bad, and you might lose your job as a police officer turning in corrupt cops. And when with Laquan McDonald, when he was shot right outside the Burger King, like many, many times, the first thing that police officers did was, in securing the scene, was to try and confiscate any video that might have shown what the police officer did in that situation, to make it to protect that police officer who unloaded into Laquan McDonald. That's not policing. That's terrorizing a community.
Over the past 2 years, the media, politicians, activist groups, and others have done their very best to crumble us.
Nobody did better than Donald Trump, whose supporters went ahead and assaulted y'all, and he has no problem with pardoning those people that did those assaults. Furthermore, there are a lot of people who are policemen who are former military, and Donald Trump insults military as well. What's in it for them, he asks. Well, he doesn't understand the idea of sacrifice. How can you, as the Fraternal Order of Police, back somebody who doesn't understand the simple idea of putting one's life on the line and risking one's own life for the safety and security of other people? Because that's what the good police officers are supposed to be doing, right? I mean, that's what you tell us, that these good men and women in law enforcement are putting their lives on the line to protect individuals, protect our families, protect our neighborhoods. But yet you're going to endorse somebody that's going to not understand the concept of what it means to sacrifice Make sacrifices of yourself for the greater good, for the greater community? No. Even if you believe that, you know, even if you want to ignore, even if you ignore all of the bad stuff that goes on and you want to just stick to that, you know, rose-colored glasses look on law enforcement, even then, there's no reason why law enforcement should be backing Donald Trump, because Donald Trump does not understand personal self-sacrifice.
And yet we stand.
Never has it been harder to be a police officer in this country, which means it's never been harder to be a union leader and be a leader within the FOP. We're going to take our voice back.
What voice have you lost? And if you're a union and if you're a member of a union and you're going up against Trump, one of the people who endorses union busting, then again, you're an even bigger moron than I thought.
We're going to become the national voice for law enforcement that we so desperately needed.
So when it comes to...
Yes, the national voice of law enforcement who's going to back the person who wants to pardon cop attackers and killers.
Who's speaking on behalf of law enforcement? It's hands down.
Stunning report from the National Fraternal Order of Police.
The National Fraternal Order of Police, Patrick Hill.
Fraternal Order of Police.
Fraternal Order of Police, the world's largest police union.
Fraternal Order of Police, Fraternal Order of Police, Fraternal Order of Police. No, they're conservative activists who don't care about the police. They just care about electing Donald Trump at this point. The idea that they have any desire to protect police is laughable. Laughable, laughable. I think I've heard enough. I think I've heard enough of their shenanigans and ridiculousness. Let's see if I can see something from like an About Us or whatever. Like what we do. FAQ. What are the FAQs? What is the Fraternal Order of Police? The Fraternal Order of Police is the world's largest organization of sworn law enforcement officers with more than 356,000 officer members in more than 2,100 lodges. We are the voice of those who dedicate their lives to protecting and serving our communities. Again, Donald Trump doesn't give a crap about dedicating your lives to protecting and serving your communities. He doesn't understand what's in it for y'all. What's in it for them? We are committed to improving the working conditions of law enforcement and the safety of those we serve through education, legislation, information, community involvement, and employee representation. A, you left out an Oxford comma, and that's just wrong. But B, you know, were you standing up for the officers at the Capitol? How are you standing up for officers when Donald Trump pardons the people who attacked the officers? Make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense to me one bit whatsoever. Period. Does the Fraternal Order of Police solicit donations via the telephone? The National Fraternal Order of Police does not conduct telephone solicitations. However, some state and local FOP lodges do. If you have a question about a telephone call you received, please contact your local FOP lodge or your state FOP lodge. Well, the next time my state FOP lodge makes a call to me trying to get me to make a contribution to them, normally I'm just like, I don't have the money, I can't deal with it. Now I'll be like, the Fraternal Order of Police backed somebody who is found to be civilly liable of sexual abuse, somebody who doesn't understand the sacrifice that people make, i.e. for military, what's in it for them, and he wants to pardon people who attacked law enforcement on January 6th. So no, I won't be donating to your stupid organization. Not one penny. F you. Disclaimer. What is their disclaimer? The information on this website is not legal advice. Of course not. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say on this website can or will be used against you in the court of law. You have a right for an attorney unless, you know, your police officer was attacked by insurrectionists, then we're not going to give it two craps about you. Not one crap, not two craps, no craps will be given. So, I just can't understand the BS of endorsing Trump. I mean, of course they're going to do it. They're a conservative organization, but you know, there are conservatives who have stood up and are fighting back against Trump. Frickin' Dick Cheney. I mean, I wasn't surprised to hear Liz Cheney did it because, you know, she was on the committee. She already has shown herself as understanding of the the threat that another Donald Trump presidency, another term of Donald Trump, what harm that will do to us and our nation. She already knows that. She's seen it firsthand. Big Dick Cheney, on the other hand, when she said that her dad was voting for Kamala Harris as well, I was shook. I mean, I wasn't applauding or anything. I mean, he's still Dick Cheney. I mean, if you're a lawyer, don't go hunting with him, right? He's still Dick Cheney. He's still not somebody I'm going to love or admire or respect, but good for him for putting his partisan politics aside and backing Vice President Harris, who he knows is not somebody who's going to pass rules and laws or sign bills into law or sign executive orders that are going to make him happy, but he knows that it's somebody who's sane in that office. We need sanity in that office. We do not need another 4 years of Donald Trump. And who knows how many more years we'll have. You know, will he give up power if he's elected again? Who knows? Why risk it? And a lot of times people would say that. I think people said that under Bush. People under Bush said something to the effect of, oh, well, is he going to want to give up power or whatever? And I never really believed that Bush would just, not, after his 2 terms, not give up the reins of power. I never believed that. I thought that was going overboard. When the conservatives said it about like Obama or whatever, again, not believing it. When it comes to Donald Trump and his I want to be dictator on day one, absolutely, you better freaking believe that I don't trust that he would give back up the reins of power. And I think that the people in Congress and that have his back, I mean, because if Donald Trump wins the presidency, he's going to win the House and Senate. It's as simple as that. I don't see him winning the presidency and not getting the House and Senate. And then once that happens, we're done. Because they're just going to rubber stamp everything he wants to do. He doesn't have to be a dictator in name. He could be a dictator by fiat or whatever. But because they basically say, okay, we'll just let you do whatever you want to do. We'll pass whatever you want to pass, so you can sign whatever you want to sign, and whatever executive orders you do, those are fine, and we can't subpoena them. We can't subpoena anything you do in office because the Supreme Court already gave you a blank check to do and say whatever it is you want to do in your own internal communications as president, because according to the Supreme Court ruling, every single communication coming from the president, from the executive branch, is privileged. Simple as that. The only way we survive as a country is by making sure that Donald Trump does not get back into office. See, Chris, actual conservative Republicans know siding with us to overthrow Trumpism is the only way to get their party back. They do know that, but the problem is that do they actually get their party back? There is a large enough segment of this country that are just pure MAGA and nothing else. How many of those are going to go back to the old Republican Party? If anything, you're going to have MAGA, you'll have the Republican Party, and then you'll have the Democrats, and then that'll be great for the Democrats if the MAGA and the conservatives are fighting over the same votes. It's part of the reason why you've seen a lot of Republicans not jump ship, because they probably think to themselves, well, better to have a Republican Party that's crappy under Trump than one that's split and fractioning into factions. Well, but some of them are finally realizing, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, because by doing that, we enabled this sycophant to get power and let it go to his head. Then you have idiots like frickin' Nikki Haley, who was talking all about how terrible of a president, how terrible it would be if Donald Trump became president. Now is all up his ass. I'll help you campaign if you want me to. Donald Trump's like, I'm fine. I'm good. We good. He's not going to accept that. The only time he might, if Donald Trump accepts Nikki Haley's assistance in helping him campaign, it would be Donald Trump admitting that it's over. So, because he's not going to want her out there with all of the crap that she said about him previously. I just don't see it happening. Just rabbit hunting with his son when young. He shot at the rabbit. To this day, I have no idea how he missed me. I was between him and the rabbit. Well, good thing is a bad shot, right? Yeah, Chris, the enemy of my enemy is my temporary friend. Of course, that could go either way, right? I mean, the enemy of my enemy, if your enemy is Trump, then the Democrats are the enemy of the enemy. But if the Democrats are the enemy, then Trump is the enemy of the enemy, and therefore that's why they might have gotten behind him. Which just shows how short-sighted they are. The GOP should have paid attention to the story of Frankenstein. Frau Bucher. Sorry. Yeah, the GOP could... There are a lot of stories that the GOP could have paid attention to that they didn't. That would require the GOP to have good reading comprehension and to be well-educated. And, well, there might be some in the GOP who are like that. As we all know, after the 2016 Nevada primaries, Donald Trump said he loved the poorly educated, and every day those poorly educated people are trying their damnedest to prove that they're worthy of his love. Aww. So, yeah. Steve, I think you'll find it's pronounced wabbit hunting. Duck thieving. Wabbit thieving. Duck thieving. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting the wascally wabbit. So, anyway. Let's kind of scroll back a smidge. What's up, Roxanne? Good to see you. No red light. You don't have to put on the red light. See, the Fraternal Order of Police is a joke. The people that call you are nothing but crackheads. Could be a crackhead. Sorry. Every time I hear crackheads, I think of the leprechaun from the story from Alabama. See, Roxanne, he likes rabbit hunting but hates deer hunting. I can't shoot big rifle. His sister off to college. He had to take matters in his own hands to get deer meat. I like venison. Venison's good, if prepared properly at least. All right, so yeah, so we do have the new intro. So if you haven't heard the new intro yet, the show pretty much started going right into the new intro with maybe like 20 or 30 seconds of Nimbus. So if you want to hear the new intro again, just after the show's over, just go back and listen to the new intro again, because it's new. It's little, yellow, different, better. Let's see, what else did I want to... So like last week we were talking about the school shootings and how, you know, things have escalated with that one quickly, because you have the kid, the 14-year-old, who is now on murder charges, charged as an adult, and the dad is also up on secondary murder charges because after he found out that his kid there was concerns about his kid shooting up the school, he then went ahead and guess what? Bought him a rifle. He bought him an assault rifle. Smart dad, huh? What a good, loving father. Give your kid something that when you know your kid's dangerous. And apparently somebody, I think the grandmother called the school to try and warn him. It's like, hey, this is a concern. We're concerned about this. And it was too late at that point. It was the plans were set. Everything was put in motion and people died because, you know, this, and people will talk about, oh, he was bullied. You know what? And I hope people might take that into consideration. It's like, hey, if you bully people, you might bully the wrong person, and then they might wind up bringing a gun to school and shooting you. But that's not an excuse to go on a murderous rampage. I'm not a fan of people who say that bullying is a rite of passage or any other of that BS. It's not a rite of passage. It shouldn't be a rite of passage. You should have the right to not be bullied. That being said, just because you're bullied, it doesn't give you the right to just bring in a gun and shoot people. Now, if the bullies are actually assaulting you and harming you and nobody's stepping up, then you have the right to defend yourself. But still, it's not going to mean bringing a gun to school. It's still wrong. You know, I've told my kids, you know, they have the right to defend themselves, but they're not getting guns for Christmas. That's for damn sure. So what about Trump's tweet about watching the election? That was crazy even for him. I mean, he sets new levels of crazy regardless. But then you also had over the weekend, what was it? You had was it Kentucky shooting? There was a Kentucky shooting. The suspect in Kentucky shooting set on I-75. The suspect vowed to kill a lot of people. The arrest warrant says, and this is over the weekend as well. You also had, I think, a shooting around Baltimore as well. So, you know, while the shooting of the school in Georgia has taken a lot of the media attention, you have a student died after a shooting inside Joppatown High School in Joppatown, Maryland, which is around Baltimore. And nobody got much, we didn't see too much about that, did we? Wonder why that is. See, teen faces multiple charges after fatal Hartford County school shooting. Oh, that's Joppatown's in Hartford. It's a little bit outside of Baltimore. 60-year-old boy was arrested and charged in a fatal shooting of a 15-year-old boy at Joppatown High School on Friday. Hartford County Sheriff Jerry Galler said in a press conference, a 16-year-old student allegedly shot a 15-year-old during a fight in the men's bathroom just after 12:30. Witnesses of the crime said that both boys were arguing before the 16-year-old pulled a gun out of his backpack and shot the 15-year-old. 16-year-old is charged with as an adult with first and second degree murder, first and second degree assault, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony/crime of violence, and possession of a firearm as a minor. Grant was found suffering from a single gunshot wound and was tended to by school nurses, staff, and students. He was then taken by helicopter to Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. After the shooting, the 16-year-old boy fled the school and was found in a nearby neighborhood. He is currently being held in Hartford County Detention Center, awaiting his initial appearance before a judicial officer. That type of thing doesn't happen here. Well, maybe we should stop having that mindset. Kermit Lindgren, who lives across the street from Joppatown High School, claimed he came home to find law enforcement swarming his apartment complex. They were police, and they had us all blocked off and having people in the building stay in the building. They told other ones to get away. One of the tenants saw him coming and running into the stairwell and reported it to police. That's how they were able to pick him up so quick. He was charged as an adult because he's doing things in a place where children should be learning. Joppatown residents said children have the right to learn, and that was taken away from these babies. Now they can't learn peacefully. Of course, Hartford County is a conservative area, and if you told those people in Hartford County, well, maybe the solution is to take away the ability or make it more easy to, or make it harder for people to get guns, especially people who shouldn't be having them, they'd all freak the frick out, wouldn't they? Josh goes, hey, Dan and company, I need a good chill place for my mood. Well, what's your mood? Let's talk about your mood, right? That shooter looked like he could be Trump's kid. Which one? The one from Georgia, or the one in Joppatown, or the one in Kentucky? So, but thanks for joining us, Josh. Hope we can improve your mood, if you will. Georgia. Yeah, I mean, he did have the wild, crazy hair, right? No one has better hair than my family. We have the best hair. No one has better hair. Wait, hold on. Let's see. I haven't seen his tweet. Let's see. Trump cease and assist. Trump threatened lawyers, donors, and others with prosecution after the election. Let's see. The Trump issue cease and desist against any Democrat engaging in election skullduggery. Donald Trump on Saturday promised that if he were to win the 2024 presidential election, he would come down hard on anyone who engaged in election interference. So even yourself? Trump, who himself has been criminally charged with election subversion in D.C. and Georgia, took to his own social media network, Truth Social, to condemn the practice and as it pertains to Democrats, not as it pertains to Republicans. In a post labeled cease and desist, Trump claimed he, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, is watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely. Trump went on to say he knows better than most about election interference crimes. That's because he does them. I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery taking place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to the nation. Right, the Democrats, like in Georgia, who run Georgia, right? The Democrats run Georgia, and that where you begged for them to find votes for you. That kind of skullduggery, is that what you're talking about? Herr Fuhrer. The votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny, and when I win, the people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Gotta have the caps there. Trump continued, please beware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels unfortunately never seen before in this country. Nobody will have higher levels. I have the best levels. I mean, again, how can people just not laugh in his face when he starts doing that bullshit of a no, never seen before in this country. I have the best numbers. Nobody has better water. We have the best water. Nobody had better water than me. This is the best water. H3O. But yeah. Of course, he also then claimed, was it over the weekend or right before the beginning of the weekend? He also claimed that whatchamacallit. He didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton because it wouldn't be nice to prosecute the wife of a former president. Like bull crap. The reason you didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton is because the amount of evidence that you had was weak at most for the misdemeanor that it was. Which is why you made it your pet project to turn the mishandling of classified information into a felony, so you can more harshly go after anybody who mishandles information. And then you mishandled information. Because you're a dumbass. So after the audits of the 2020 election, Biden won by a larger margin than thought. All of the cheating was on the right. Yep, pretty much. Every conservative accusation is a confession. We all know that to be true. Wait, what, Steve? Not quite sure about that last comment there, buddy. The contract and gig juggling frustration is all. Oh, I feel you. Especially as somebody who used to do Uber and Lyft all the time, and I wish I could do Uber and Lyft right now. I wish I could justify doing it, but it's you don't make any money doing it anymore. The only time I've thought about maybe jumping back into Uber and Lyft is maybe getting all approved before like Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl happens, because that potentially could be a big old crap ton of money, because I think we're having Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl very close together. That's going to be a lot of money, potentially, as long as they don't change the rules on us again and again and again to make it so that you still can't earn as much money as you used to. If it was the way it was before with Uber and Lyft, I absolutely would be doing that as a side gig right now, just to gain a little more extra money to make sure that, my finances don't kill me. But my BP med will be available Wednesday instead of tomorrow. I'm going to go in person. Automated thing is just an idiot. Yep, exactly. Oh, Trump said it. Oh, Trump said kids go to school boys and come back girls. Oh, of course he did. I didn't realize you were citing Trump, so there you go. Much better. Not better that he said it, but better that you didn't say it and you were just citing him. Hey, CR, what's going on? Yeah, the whole medicine thing is frustrating me as well, Josh, because I just messaged my primary care physician today. I finally got around to it because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to word it and what I wanted to word it, because their screw-up made it so that I can't have access to medication that might be helpful, like, Zepbound. I should have been on Zepbound, I think, for the last 4 months or more. Had they filled out the information correctly, I would have been, perhaps. But because I don't know if they can officially appeal the old ruling, it might be too late. They might have to wait till it becomes 180 days, which means another month and a half. I'm not happy with my primary care physician at this point. I'm very aggravated at the whole thing. So, apparently, remember on the last show when Joe, whoever Joe was, my theory is that maybe it's Gibson, but who knows? Joe went ahead and said that he was going to report the channel. I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing to say that, that I was reported, or that, anything bad happened because of said report. So it's probably just full of malarkey and BS or whatever, because I don't believe it. But you know what? The next time, whatchamacallit, somebody threatens to report my channel for BS, I'll just block them. Whatever. I don't give a crap. If you're going to threaten my channel by putting up BS and claiming that I did something wrong that I didn't, you're going to falsely accuse the channel of doing something and trying to hurt my ability to educate the audience with stuff that I research and or bring, have fun online talking about politics. You're going to threaten to do that to me? I don't have any need for you on my channel. You can get yeeted as well. You want to say that you're going to report me? Fine. I'm going to block your butts. So, see, one of my reasons I had to homeschool, being afraid that my children would come home, was a different gender was not on the list. Pretty much. My kids, one of them tells me that they're trans, okay, I'll support them as much as I can. Simple as that. Although, being that I live in Louisiana, it might mean I have to leave Louisiana, because I have friends who have a trans kid who did leave Louisiana specifically because of Louisiana's anti-trans laws. So I am not above moving somewhere else where I could have a more safe environment for my children. So, hey, if we had girls, we might have moved already, but because we have boys and these new laws don't harm them like they harm other people. I mean, they're harmful in general, because it's bad to have laws like this. But, hey, we're not supposed to be able to bring these standings unless we're actually harmed, right? I'm supposed to be able to bring lawsuits unless you're actually harmed. Except unless you're Mohila. Circling back to whatever. Hey, Chad, what's going on? Good to see you. What happened? Well, there's the major hypocrisy. Was the hypocrite of the week. I'll probably post that up after the show's over. Or you can just rewatch the show with what you've missed, because the hypocrite of the week was the Fraternal Order of Police for backing Trump when Trump is going to pardon former people who were convicted or pled guilty of attacking police officers on the January 6th. Right? I mean, how can you be an organization that supports police officers and then back the guy who is going to release the people who were in prison because they assaulted police officers? Doesn't make sense at all whatsoever. Chad, did somebody threaten? Somebody on the last show, on Wednesday's show, threatened to report the channel because one of the mods moderated Adlo Hymn's comments, as they should have, as they have the ability to do, as they have the right to and the authority to do. As I've told the mods, they are free to moderate as they see fit, and I trust their decisions. But Joe is like, "Oh, I'm reporting your channel." Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, report it, and we'll block you when you come back in. Unless you make just another fake name and do it that way as well. And then once we find out it's really you, we'll block you again, because I really have no time for those shenanigans, right? I'm all for, you know, I understand that some people don't like the fact that we go do a little tit for tat for with some of the trolls, and sometimes I get it. It's you're free to not listen if that's what you don't want to hear. Again, those sort of things are supposed to help the algorithms. As the more people chat, the more often that people type things in the chat, the more likely you are to be able to get more people coming into the stream, which helps the channel. So see, my daughter had her first kiss by her choice. I'm okay with that, but I'm working on my scary dad impressions. Scary dad. I'm Donald Trump, and I approve that message. That's my scary dad. Oh no, not Donald Trump as a father-in-law. Anyway. One thing I did want to do is I found another station of a guy who is who has weird like reaction videos to some stuff, like he does, like he's done reaction videos like I think movies and TV stuff, but he also is doing reaction videos to political stuff. And this guy was watching a video as it pertained to Vice President Harris's tax plan, and I told the person on his own channel that I would be doing a reaction video to his video, and as such, we will be doing that in a short second. Let's see. So let's rewind this. No, let's pause the video. There we go. That's better. And then we can come back and go back to the alternate scene. Let's move myself around a bit, because I think this is the place I want to be in his whatchamacallit. I think when he goes to the other side, that is where I think I think he's up here, if I remember some of it correctly. But yeah, he doesn't quite get certain things that are important to understand. So we're gonna do a reaction video to his let's just make sure I have enough time to enough space on the PC, on the laptop, to record it all. Yeah, it should be enough, I think. Let me go ahead and maybe delete a couple of ones that I made the other day just to clear that, clear some additional space. There we go. Anyway. So here we go. We have a video. Kamala Harris tax plan is about to destroy America. Is it now? Let's listen to what he believes are Kamala Harris's tax plans and why he thinks they're going to destroy this country. Shall we? Oh, I muted it.
The name of the video is... Alright, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is Dangerous. Economist explains what Kamala Harris's tax plan means for you.
Kamala.
You. Guys, it doesn't look good. Like, I've read it.
All right. We're going to stop recording again. I think I made the same mistake as I did the other time. I think I just need to open it in another
into
browser.
it. And I was just like, listen.
Because Google doesn't like...
If you want to quickly have corporations...
So let's try this again, shall we? Doing it in Opera instead of in Google. Josh, that can be scary, but not Trump scary. You know, it is what it is, right? Let's see. I followed daughter through woods, etc. to keep her mind off boys. A friend said it was a bad idea. I was raising the perfect girlfriend. All right. We are still trying to load this darn video on this browser now. Let's see if this will work. All right, let's go full screen again. For some reason, it's not wanting me to go full screen. I don't know why. There we go. Technical difficulties averted, supposedly. So let's just go in. Again, this is another video. Kamala Harris' plan is about to destroy America. Let's do it this way. Kamala Harris' tax plan is about to destroy America.
All right, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is Dangerous. Economist explains what Kamala Harris' tax plan
Kamala
means for you. Guys, it doesn't look good. Like, I've read into it, and I was just like, listen, if you want to quickly have corporations leave for places like Dubai or Ireland, please enact that tax plan, Kamala Harris.
Yes, totally. I mean, because if you want corporations don't want to be protected by the best military in the world, by all means, don't headquarter yourselves here. Headquarter yourselves in someplace else that won't be able to protect you as well.
Harris, right? It's anti-growth, for example.
I don't believe you, but let's see what arguments are made about this, because again, I don't believe you.
Because what happens is, once you start getting to the crazy numbers that she's actually asking for, growth slows down. Because why would I want to consistently make this much copious money, basically, in the United States of America? Why would I want to do that? Like, how does that foster growth?
Why would you want to do that? Because you're making a copious amount of money. And you're doing so in a nation that has the best military that can protect your assets. I mean, do you want to trust the Dubai government to protect your assets? No, I don't think so.
You're punishing me and anyone else who does business in any meaningful manner, right?
The reason they're not punishing you for doing business. They're punishing you for circumventing the rules of business in order to try and not pay your fair share in taxes, which is why you need new laws to put in place to deal with the shenanigans that you're playing as a business person to avoid those taxes that you should be paying, to cover the things like, roads and bridges. You didn't build that. Someone else made that happen.
Any of the people who own corporations are going to be suffering through this right here, right? What's going
to
happen? They're going to leave.
Sure, they're all going to leave. All the businesses are going to leave all their customers behind and go to Dubai and Ireland. Makes perfect sense.
Leave. Period. Right? But all right, let's go ahead and see where this goes, guys. I mean, you want to know the fastest way to destroy our economy even more than it's already destroyed? Please, come on.
You can enact Trump's tariffs, and that will kill the farmers, and the farmers will then have to get subsidies from the government to help pay off the losses that they had to deal with because the tariffs killed the farmers. But
Kamala Harris, enact that disastrous plan. Let's see where this takes us.
Ronald Reagan, of course, made cutting taxes the centerpiece of his campaign for president back in 1980. And yes, he made good on his promise once elected, signing into law what was then the largest tax cut in history. This time.
And that doesn't make it a good thing or the smart thing or the wise thing to do. It just means that that's what he did.
Time around, as we've been talking about, Kamala Harris campaigning on raising taxes for many Americans.
Oh, he's so hurting. Ooh, raising the corporate tax rate to a whopping 28% from 21%. What'd you think of the billionaires? What'd you think of the billionaires and how they'll survive if they have to pay 7% more? Oh no. And then, the stacked tax rate on stock buybacks from 1% to 4% because, instead of putting the money into the economy like you're supposed to, like they claim they're going to do, they instead do things like stock buybacks, which is what we said when Donald Trump was like, oh, we want to help allow the people, the corporations to repatriate their funds, and we want to let them do it for free. And the Democrats are, of course, like, well, why would we want them to do it for free? All they're going to do with it is they're going to give bonuses out to their executives, and they're going to do stock buybacks. Oh, no, that's not going to happen, says Lucy with the football. And what happens? They were repatriated their funds, AT&T didn't give their bonuses. Corporations did stock buybacks. They did everything that we would predict they would do. And it did not help the American people in the slightest. Top income tax rate, 37% to 39.6%. Oh no, what will you ever do again, these people like to pretend like when you're taxed at 39.6%, that it's not the marginal rate on the highest income bracket, that it's just that the people are going to pay 39.6 across the board. No, it's only on those funds that are above and beyond the certain threshold of that next lowest tax bracket. And corporate minimum tax rate from 15% to 21%. Again, oh no, what will they do?
So guys, I've seen some of the numbers, but I'm not sure I actually seen like this type of graph regarding them. Guys, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that you're making a mountain out of a molehill over this. Those are not insane. You want to know what taxes were like back in the 50s and the 40s when you could you could write off any interest that you paid, but the marginal tax rate, the top marginal tax rate was what, 90%? This is nowhere near that. And he's trying to cry me a river. Not a river in Crimea, but he's, trying to actually cry a river. It's ridiculous.
Like 37% is already wild. Okay? Now to raise it means what?
Again, 37% on the top marginal, that top bracket, i.e. the highest earners who have more to protect, militarily wise, whatever. They have more skin in the game that needs protecting, right? So if you have more stuff to be protected, you should be paying more for that stuff to be protected, right?
That means that everyone is going to suffer from this here. And if you think that the top...
Everyone's going to suffer from this. No, if I'm not in the top, if I'm not doing stock buybacks, if I'm not dealing with a C Corp and corporate tax rates, if I'm not dealing with a corporate minimum tax rate, none of this is going to apply to me. None whatsoever. So no, it's only going to affect the top earners who are not going to go move to Dubai or Ireland.
Top 1% of 1% basically is going to suffer from this. You're crazy. They're not going to suffer from this. It's going to be the ones who do not have tax write-offs that are going to suffer from this, meaning the overwhelming majority of the United States of America who do not run businesses through S Corp.
So if I don't have tax write-offs, then I'm somehow affected by stock buybacks. If I don't have tax write-offs, I'm going to be affected by the 39.6%. Right? I mean, granted, I'd love to be in the position where my top income tax rate goes from 37 to 39.6%, because that means I'm making a crap ton of money. Yay me. I'm not crying about this if I'm making that much money. Oh, corporate minimum tax rate, 15 to 20%. Oh no.
C Corps or LLCs, guys, right? These individuals are going to suffer, which is the overwhelming majority of Americans. All right. That's who's suffering from this right here. Okay. To be honest, the corporate tax is also wild, right?
Wild. Everything's wild by this guy. Everything's wild. It's wild that you don't have an understanding of who this actually will affect.
Oh, it's 7%. That's a crazy one here. The stock buyback. I'm guessing we're going to be getting into unrealized gains also. Speculate.
And we should be getting into unrealized gains, because that is another thing that's on the platform. But of course, conservatives don't understand the unrealized gains thing either.
But let's see what this takes us.
Including boosting the top income tax rate to 39.6% and raising the corporate tax from 21 to 28%.
I mean, this guy definitely has more followers than me, but is he really going to get dinged by this top income tax rate? If he is, good for you for being able to make that much money with your YouTube channel. Awesome. Congratulations. Stop bitching.
Right.
Yikes. Joining me now, Heritage Foundation economist, former Trump economic advisor, Steve Moore. I mean, Steve, there couldn't be more dramatic.
Steve Moore, there couldn't be more, right? Was that a pun intended?
Opposing views on how this economy should be run. You know, look, I just mentioned to Jim Urio there, Steve, look, what would happen? This tax on realized gains. I mean, the taxes on the so-called rich, and it's always the middle class that ends up getting socked.
How is the middle class going to get soaked by the unrealized gains tax?
I mean,
every single time.
It's dangerous stuff, is it not?
It sure is. And, you know, I did live through the Reagan era. I came to Washington, D.C. in 1984 and actually had the privilege of my life of working in the Reagan administration for Ronald Reagan. And you're right. Here's an amazing statistic. When Reagan came...
Amazing statistic that's probably distorted.
Into office, actually, the top income tax rate in the United States was 70%. 70%. When he left office...
But what could you write off? Again, a lot of the times in this conversation, that's why I made it a point to preface it. Back in the 50s, we may have had a 90% marginal tax rate, but it's also what can be taxed. There's no difference between having a 50% tax rate where only 20% of your income is taxable and a 20% of your tax rate where 50% of your income is taxable. There's no difference between the two. It's the same amount of money.
The highest rate was 28%. That's a very dramatic reduction in taxes.
Does that make it good, right, or fair, or just? Does that mean it was a smart thing to do? Probably not, because Reaganomics is based on the falsehood of trickle down. Reaganomics is based on the falsehood of supply side economics. If you build it, they will come, or whatever. Reaganomics is based on a whole bunch of BS and malarkey that the conservatives wanted to try and sell us, and somehow they managed to convince enough people in the country to actually do it, and then we end up seeing exactly how poorly it ends up being.
And yet, guess what happened to tax revenues?
Oh, it went crazy. Bro, it went super crazy.
Tell me.
They went up.
Of course
they
it
went
did.
way up.
There you go.
The rich paid more taxes. Yeah, and by the way...
Yeah, because they made more money, right? Growth, right? The reason why they paid more taxes is because they made more money. They were allowed...
Again, it also depends on what's being taxed. So you can paint it different ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're paying actual differences. And I am going to wholeheartedly disagree with the idea that they started paying more money overall in taxes just because they cut the taxes. George W. Bush called that something DOO economics, voodoo economics, and the Laffer curve, for example, where you're on a curve and you tax at a rate and here, and your tax rate is here. You have the same number of income or whatever because of this supposed theory that if you cut taxes, you increase revenue. That's BS. It can happen, but it's not guaranteed to happen, and you can't possibly know it's going to happen because there's a whole bunch of other wild cards that come into play. And that's the people who are proponents of the Laffer curve will tell you that, you know, oh, it's going to mean we're going to bring in more revenue by cutting their taxes. Okay, sure, Jan, sure, Lucy with the football. Why should we believe you? I have no reason to believe you on that because, again, there's no reason why you're going to want to propose a situation where your company pays more in taxes. You're always going to fight paying more in taxes, period.
How to make more money. Wow. Right? So how about this? Stop doing the virtue signal aspect of things, Kamala Harris, and just understand.
It's not about virtue signaling, dude. This is not about virtue signaling. This is about understanding the games that corporations play in order to try and keep from having to pay the taxes, their fair share of taxes. So you have to come at it in different, more creative ways. Or you put Donald Trump in there, who doesn't give a crap about corporations paying taxes. Because he wants to cut his own and make sure that he has to pay as little as possible while benefiting from all of the government programs that protect him, etc.
And how the economy should basically run, right? If you allow corporations to make more money, they're making so much money that the tax dollars, right, are being basically funneled into the United States of America.
Wrong. Sorry, dude. If these corporations that make lots of money will try like the double Irish scheme or other sort of tax hiding schemes as a way to protect their money from being taxed. If you allow them to make more money, they're going to make money regardless, because they're going to find, people that are demanding a good or a service, and they're going to supply that good or a service to the people who are demanding it, and the people are probably going to pay for it if it can be produced at a reasonable cost. That has nothing to do with what now. If you're gonna, whatever your tax rate is, let's cut their taxes because we're gonna believe that they're gonna bring it down and pay more to the American people and pay more taxes. Yeah, again, Charlie Brown and the football.
That's how we make money, not by making it extremely restrictive so all of the corporations or people that run businesses leave the.
All of the corporations are gonna leave if we enact Kamala Harris's tax plan. That is the just most mind-numbingly dumb thing you could say. No, they're not all going to leave. Most of them are going to stay. Do you think Tesla's going to pick up and go just because Vice President Harris, when she becomes president, is able to enact these tax laws? I mean, what he'll probably do is he'll probably try and pay people to come up with creative ways to avoid these schemes because they have no interest in actually paying their fair share. And that's the thing that's happening here.
Country.
Wait, there's a curve behind this that you know about, actually. It's called the Laffer curve. Sometimes when you...
see, even they brought up the Laffer curve. Again, the people who promote the Laffer curve are people who want you to think that you're actually going to get to kick the football.
Can cut tax rates, you get more economic activity, more investment, the economy does better.
Growth.
You get...
Somebody watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off too much.
More revenues. Now, I want to make this point because it's relevant to RFK Jr., who has endorsed Donald Trump. The other big tax cutter of modern times, of course, was John F. Kennedy. When he came into office, the highest tax rate was 90%. He slashed the tax rates across the board. Yeah. He was very famous for saying that that when tax rates are too high and tax...
Again, he slashed the tax rates, but what was taxed? You couldn't write off as much interest, right? So it's still, back then you could write off interest. Just an optics thing.
Revenues are too low. We have to cut the rates to make the economy grow faster. So if Reagan got that and John F. Kennedy got that, why can't Kamala Harris understand that?
Because you don't necessarily know where you are on the supposed Laffer curve to know whether or not that cutting taxes will actually increase revenue or not, if you believe that the Laffer curve is a true thing. You have to establish that before you try and make the argument that she should not be raising taxes because you're on the wrong part of the Laffer curve. It's your responsibility to try and show me that we're on the position of the Laffer curve where raising taxes decreases revenue and raising taxes decreases revenue and cutting taxes increases revenue. If you can't do that, then I have no reason to believe that you're telling the truth. And you're just bringing up the Laffer curve just to pleasure yourself with the invisible hand of the free market.
That concept.
Because the majority of the people who are going to vote for her do not care about any of these things. All they care about is the literal virtue signal of, hey, eat the rich. That's all they care about, right?
It's not about eating the rich. It's about making sure that the rich can't get away with their shenanigans and BS, which they do. Which you don't seem to understand.
And they say, oh, these people have money. I don't. So they shouldn't have money.
No, it's these people have money and should be paying taxes, but they're avoiding paying their taxes because the Republicans have cut funding to the IRS, so that we can't do as much enforcement as we should do on their violation of the tax code. And, they're going to try other different ways to try and avoid paying whatever it is that they want to pay tax-wise. They're going to pay economists like this schlub to basically say, oh, well, this is how I'm going to get away with not paying as much taxes as I should, and, well, let's take advantage of it because the law allows it. So Vice President Harris is campaigning on closing some of those loopholes, and you're sitting here thinking it's a great idea or it's not a good idea at all, or that these people are saying great ideas, that shutting down that idea and allowing these businesses to get away with all of their tax dodging shenanigans are good for the economy. No, it's not good for the economy. The wider your tax base is, the better it is. And if you allow these big corporations to narrow their what they have to pay, then they're not contributing to the tax base as they should.
That's all they care. They don't care about the actual, like, the minutia of the actual point. They don't care about that at all. What's that have to do
We care about the minutia here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
with them? They literally only care. They have money. I don't. So let's punish them. Not realizing that actually.
And here's the thing. Most conservatives don't have that money either. The ones who are trying to say, oh, they don't, and the MAGA folk, the poorly educated that Donald Trump said that he loved after winning the 2016 Nevada primaries, they don't understand the Laffer curve. They don't understand anything having to do with economics and supply and demand. If they did that, they wouldn't have bought Donald Trump's whole deal of, or they wouldn't believe that Joe Biden was responsible for the gas hikes. They would understand that Donald Trump is responsible for the gas hikes if they understood how supply and demand works or how the economy works in general. They don't understand this. They'll repeat the BS that is, they'll regurgitate the stuff they hear on talk radio, like, oh, if you cut taxes, you increase revenue. They'll repeat that.
It's the worst thing you
hit play. Adjusting my ear. They won't understand why that's the case. They'll just regurgitate it because somebody they believe on the news said it's the case. So they'll regurgitate the BS, not understanding or being able to say why it's true or why it's not true or when it would be true or when it would not be true.
You could possibly do because people leave.
That's
oh yes, they so leave. Good. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Someone will take your place. How about them apples?
very true. I mean, the Democratic Party today was not what it was under JFK.
Exactly.
That is for sure.
That's true.
I think that party is a moderate Republican these days. Anyway, listen, you say that the American dream, sadly, out of reach for most Americans. Why is that, and how can we change it?
Because of economies of scale and the fact that you have big corporations monopolizing things and making it impossible for people to, make it like they would in the previous days. And you have people like yourselves who want to allow the big businesses to run their monopolistic companies and operate in their in the ways that corporations like to operate, and making sure that they don't pay their fair share in order to make money hand over fist so they can undercut anybody who tries to make it in the same market that they're trying to make it in. That's why. That's why the American dream is severely curtailed, which is why you need to have policies that will go after people who are trying to play unfairly. And that's what Vice President Harris's plans will try and do. Will try and make sure that the big corporations are playing in a more fair system. But y'all don't understand that, or y'all don't want to understand that. Y'all don't want your watchers and listeners to understand that. Y'all just want to make people believe that, oh, it's going to kill businesses and therefore it's going to harm you. None of which is true.
Because, when you define the American dream, it's a lot of things, but one of the hallmarks of the American dream is being able to afford a home.
Right.
And you look at the numbers now, but I have two sons that are in their early 30s. They're about the stage of their life where they'd be looking at, buying a home and starting a family. You can't do that. They couldn't, and by the way, they're middle class. They're doing pretty well, actually. They couldn't possibly afford to buy a house. I mean, now with these high mortgage interest rates, you keep
the rates are low. I mean, the rates are relatively low comparatively. Back to I remember back in the 80s, I had a certificate. I had a savings account that had an interest rate of 12% on my savings account. Why? Because mortgage interest was high. Was even higher than that. And so that's how I was able to get a savings account with 12% interest in a credit union. Because the interest rates on the loans were even higher. And Reagan was president back then. Go figure.
You just cannot buy a house today, and that's true of people in their 30s and 40s where they're just priced out of the market. The average, because of Biden's policies and the massive increase in costs and interest rates, a 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay payments almost twice as high today as you did when Donald Trump was president. Do we really want 4 more years of that?
I don't want 4 more years of Donald Trump who's going to, put people's lives at risk in a pandemic. You can't spend your money if you're dead. But even then, I'm questioning much of what you're saying right then and there. Let's continue.
No. I mean, let's keep this in mind. For the ones who own houses, yeah, we do, right? I'm going to be honest. We do exclusively because we're selfish. I can be honest here, right? I mean, do I really want me to lose roughly 40% of about 40% of equity in 1 year? No, I don't want that, right? But we do, in fact, need.
Oh, so here he's being a hypocrite. He likes his high house cost because it will enable him to make more money.
Need more property so people can actually afford homes, right? And people can stop doom spending. Now, is it like feasible to be able to own or afford a house right now? The average person cannot do that. I mean,
I'm trying to afford 2 right now, but that's because I have to pick up the mortgage payments on my mother-in-law's house. Let's continue.
If you think about what 20% is on the median house price right now, you're talking a little bit over $100,000. Bro, who has $100,000 in cash in their bank right now? No one. Have you seen the economy?
Wait, where are you living where you have to put down $100,000 on a house? That doesn't make any sense. Normally with an FHA loan, you can put down only 5% on a loan to be able on a mortgage, and B, houses around here are maybe like even the houses that maybe were like 150 are now 200. That's not $100,000 down payment. So again, just more dishonesty in this whole video whatsoever. Let's continue.
Come on.
Yeah, no kidding. Very
You're
quickly,
right. Can't afford it. No one can
Steve,
afford it.
the August jobs report out next Friday. Could be a game changer for the Fed. What are you expecting?
Jerome Powell, nothing.
I've given up guessing because, as you know, the Labor Department over the last year and a half has overestimated the jobs by over 1 million. Did you know that? 1.1 million.
I'm sure they did, right? Because, you said so.
Million overestimation of jobs. So we keep I keep going on with Maria in the morning, and we got 325,000 jobs. And then the next, it was 250, 225.
Right.
So I don't have a clue where we're going to be, but I do think the economy is slowing down.
Right. Listen, what it just points.
We still have a better economy than most of the industrializations in the world because Joe Biden has clamped down on and made inflation so low enough where now it's not outpacing incomes. But, don't let facts get in the way of your feelings.
Pointed out here is these fictitious job numbers that Biden basically made up out of thin air. I guess it's easy to do that if you change the classification of what actually a job is, right? If you make it so that all of the gig workers now are considered fully employed, not specifically underemployed, then that makes all the sense in the world, right?
Why would a gig worker be not fully employed if they're doing full-time work as a gig worker? Like, when I was a gig worker and doing like Uber and Lyft, I was fully employed because I was doing it full time. But, whatever. Again, don't let the facts get in the way of your feelings.
And that's why those numbers are fluctuating so rapidly, really. Because we're talking about people who are doing like Uber Eats, driving for Uber.
Again, as I said, I drove for Uber. I used to do it full time. I was a full-time gig worker. Did it make me any less of a full-time worker because I was probably working more than 40 hours a week because I was trying to chase that money down. Now I did it smart. I did things that were that were intelligent in my opinion. Like, I checked to see when conventions were getting in town or when conventions were leaving town and tried to, work my way around in those areas to know, okay, well these are going to be the people wanting more airport rides. So therefore, that's where the bread and butter was, and especially in the mornings or mid-afternoons. So I'd go out and work between like 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. just to be able to catch all the people going to the airports, and then come home and then sleep till about 1 or 2, and then go back out and, to pick up the afternoon airport rush and make money that way, and then come back home for dinner, and then maybe go back out later on further in the evening and work as much as 12 hours in a day, depending on what day it was. Especially if it was a weekend night, I would make bank back when you could make bank. Now they've made it so you can't make bank. Only a rare few who can figure it out can get it done, and usually those people are the ones doing like Uber Black or the Lux cars or whatever.
Grubhub, Seamless, all of these like food apps, right? Technically, they are employed, right? But in fact, they're underemployed, and these jobs really do not count. They shouldn't count for Jerome.
Jobs shouldn't count. People working shouldn't count. What? People doing work for a living shouldn't count because they're doing gig jobs. What else? What other jobs shouldn't count? If I wait tables part-time, does that not, if I waited tables part-time and did other things part-time and kind of did an amalgamation of a bunch of jobs to kind of put a full-time schedule together, does that somehow mean that I'm not doing a full-time job, full-time work? That's BS. If I can't look, here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to say to that point right there. If it stops me from getting unemployment, then it's a job. If I can't collect unemployment because I'm doing the work for that particular job, then it's a job, and it should count as part of the job numbers. How about them apples? If you want to take things and classify them as not being jobs, then by all means, don't let it interfere with me. Let me do gig work whilst collecting unemployment so I can make some extra bucks. But no, you're not going to support that, will you? Because that would be a government handout or whatever, and that would be bad. So no, if it's going to prevent me from getting unemployment benefits, it's a job. It counts. No matter how much you want to spin it that it should count.
Jerome Powell to look at, to even think about, thinking that the economy is still decent, right? Bro, just lower the interest rates. Okay, make money just a little bit more affordable. But I keep this in mind here. No. Hold on. No, he can't do that. He has to raise them. But I don't want him to raise them. We don't want... What happened here? We do not want Jerome Powell, obviously, to raise the interest rates. But I do think that if you want to actually fix the economy, you have to make things naturally expensive so people can...
So would this guy make up his mind? So he wants things to be cheaper for the people, but now he wants things to be naturally expensive. Now you're pushing for policies that's going to increase inflation. This is why you should never vote for conservatism. Conservatism makes no sense because they have to jump through all of these hoops to try and make their policies make sense, and half of them are contradictory. Here you're complaining he's like, no, I want Jerome Powell to cut interest rates to make money cheaper. And now he's like, no, now we need it. Now we need interest rates to be higher, so money's not as cheap. Well, which one is it, bruh? Do you want money cheaper or do you want money not cheaper? Do you want to slow the economy down so there is less inflation, or do you want to make it so that people can afford a house better? Which one is it, bruh? Doesn't make sense.
People can't afford them any longer, then they stop actually buying things. And then what do the corporations have to do? Lower the prices. That's a reality, right? But obviously the selfish ones.
And price elasticity of demand, something that has not been brought up by any of these, scholars up here, will affect the ability of somebody to be able to say, I'm just going to, drop my prices, or I'm going to raise my prices to make it, if your good is price inelastic, i.e. demand for it doesn't change based off of changes of costs, then you're unlikely to lower prices because your good either is a necessity and it doesn't have much in the way of competition or alternatives, so therefore you're stuck with it. So therefore it doesn't matter how cheap or expensive money is, you're still going to charge a similar or same amount of money for the goods at the amount that they're being demanded for. Whereas other items that are price elastic, yeah, maybe those might have to adjust based off of other factors because a change in price will change the demand. But that would happen regardless of what interest rates were. So,
out there, right? Want it lowered so we can get free money from the banks again, guys, right? Basically free money. But all right, listen, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I do think Kamala Harris's tax plan is absolute trash.
Kamala.
I don't like it because I know that it'll affect a lot of us, guys, right? Specifically ones who own corporations, guys. But all right, guys, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. And again, that's my selfish desire, right? Because I'll vote specifically for who lower my taxes.
That's all. You don't care about women's rights. You don't care about body autonomy. You don't care about LGBTQA folks. All you care about is money. And that's the difference also between the folks who are liberals, leftists, progressives, etc., and folks like yourself. You are just going to make money the bottom line. Without even a care about what happens to anybody else. Again, that's the same type of argument that prevents people from cracking down on polluting corporations. Oh, I want to make more money, so therefore I don't want to be regulated on my pollution. I'm going to leave the country if they try and clamp down on my ability to pollute. Where are you going to make your goods and stuff? And in another country, that's probably going to be even stricter on emissions. Or maybe you go to China and then you have to give kickbacks to the people who are running the Chinese government. Or maybe you go someplace else and you have to deal with another bunch of ridiculousness under a government that won't have the best military in the world to protect you in case shenanigans happen. This is the problem with conservatism. Or one of the problems with conservatism. Money is more important than anything else. And that's not how I roll. That's not how most of you roll. Yeah, we like to have more money in our bank accounts. Yeah, we'd love to be able to be more successful financially. But I'm not willing to do that and harm people in the process. If you can sleep with yourself at night, knowing that your decisions have harmed people, then you're probably voting for Donald Trump. But if you are looking at how the situation has affected, other people around you, and might be like, okay, well, yeah, it might be nice for me to have more money in my paycheck, but I really can't do it if it's going to mean that more Palestinians are going to get harmed because they'll have he won't even stand up at all to Netanyahu, or more LGBTQA folks will be harmed because, he's not going to support those policies that protect LGBTQA folks. More people who are harmed when it comes to pregnancies and abortion care because he's going to put in the abortion czar or whatever is going to take place. It's going to track people's periods and track their miscarriages and track all this other stuff to make sure that, as Donald Trump once said, that there should be punishment for the woman, as he said, even though, as we all know on the show, as long as there are trans men and non-binary folks who also get pregnant. But, of course, Donald Trump's not going to recognize that because he, too, like the people that he loves, i.e. the poorly educated, can't grasp such things. So I'm not going to be sitting there and putting other people in jeopardy, even if I thought that they were right, that the economy would be better under Trump. But that's the kicker. Look, speaking of Charlie Brown and Lucy, there's no evidence that it will. Trump's own actions when he was president during his first term harmed American farmers, harmed American steelworkers, harmed many parts of the economy. And then once he made that horrible deal for gas, once demand shot back up with that terrible deal, gas prices skyrocketed. Not because of Joe Biden, but because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump's deals, Donald Trump's policies will harm this economy too. We're not going to feel the benefits of it. I mean, anybody who might have been invested in oil at that time might have gotten benefit from it. However, everyone else had to pay higher gas prices because Donald Trump made a crappy deal. Anyway, that's my reaction to this video. What do you think? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share it, and have a good day. That was longer than I thought it would be, but it is what it is. Now let's scroll back up to see what the people in chat be saying. Shaggy dude in a suit is a gig working on Fox. Nice, yes. Let's see. Kimchi, oh my god, daughter, let me use her vape. I feel so much better, especially my tolerance is low again. Yeah, my vape doesn't do great for me, but some of the edibles that I've gotten, whew, they put me nice to sleep. Let's see. Big Hook, Cups and Ball, 3-Card Monty, Ponzi Scheme, Pump and Dump, Shorting Stocks, Laugher Curve, Voodoo Economics, MLM Marketing, Right to Work legislation, and crypto. All the same scams, just by different names. Josh goes, ouch, Dan. I'm wondering what ouch for what. Yeah, I wish my house was paid off. That would be lovely. Look at the corporations that are being monopolized right now. They aren't enforcing any laws to prevent it. True. I think some people, they were trying to stop two of the grocery chains from combining into one. But yeah, no, that just makes it harder for local grocers to operate when you have these big giant grocery conglomerations that are out there. So let's see. This guy probably does reaction videos on a different channel. Probably. Boston brings to mind Brian, and he's solid as a rock. I do need to watch Boston Brian more. It never lines up where I can watch when he's on. I'd love to have him on the show too. I think we should all be working more together to try and elevate everybody up. Let's see. De-story America. Kamala is my Shiro. If she can de-story and de-misogynize us, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Goddess Kimchi. See, Aaron, Trump was writing on the mortgage crash that happened before he took office. He can't take credit for those mortgage rates. No, he can't. Santa brought that naughty boy in Georgia his first AR-15. Unfortunately, that is true. Let's go on. I could probably make decent money doing Uber on a horse here. I mean, you don't have to pay as much oil, right? Oil and gas. Let's see, we are still adding jobs over 170,000 per month. Of course, that's probably too low for them. Yeah, they just shit on part-time workers. A lot of nurses and CT techs and people like that work part-time. And a lot of people work part-time because, the other half of the time they're, like, in school. Or they're, taking care of their family. Because they're not dual income homes. They're, like, income and a half homes or whatever. Where one person has a full-time job. Maybe one person has a part-time job while the kids are in school. And then goes and deals with the kiddos. Yeah. Trumpet's whole gas is 1 cent when I left thing drives me up the wall. Oh, you couldn't drive anywhere, but exactly. They don't understand supply and demand. That's my point. See, those are independent contractors as easy. Yes, they are independent contractors, but they're still working. Thank you for the $5. Appreciate you. Let me scroll back down and see who gave it. Fred Bear, thank you so much. That guy made his selling free government money books 50. Was that who that guy was? I was sitting here thinking, that guy looks so familiar, and I couldn't quite place it. But yeah, you're right. That's the guy who had the books about getting free money from the government. But thank you for that, Fred, and thank you for the $5 contribution. Appreciate you for that. But holy crap, yeah, that's where that guy is. He was all the free money you can get from government, and now he's, now he just wants to help the corporations get free money from government. Craziness. I mean, even if they're independent contractors, they're still employed. If they're working full-time, they should count. That's my point. Like, you don't get to say that they don't count because, just because. Just because. The bait and switch transfer of operating costs onto the worker. Yep. Uber is the largest taxi company in the world, and they don't own a single car. And I think now they might actually own some cars because they want to get into the automated driving. But yeah, again, they've managed to enable it so that people use their own stuff to make cash. Now, granted, when I was doing it, I was making good money because they wanted to incentivize drivers to get out there and drive, so they're going to pay them a lot of money. Now that Uber's established, they have the foothold in the economy. They don't have to pay the drivers as much, which is part of the problems. I don't know if there's a phobia term for it, but I'm scared of pizza boys. Why? Are you afraid they're going to knock on your door and offer you extra sausage? Could be some fear of porn or something in there. Yeah, many business owners do not work their full-time job and are essentially like a gig worker. Well, there's that too, but people don't want to talk about that. My coworker thinks that healthcare jobs are government jobs. Well, I mean, some are. Some healthcare jobs are government jobs if, like, you work for the VA. I have a friend who works for the VA. So technically her healthcare job is a government job, but other jobs are not. Obviously, there are plenty of private hospitals, like Auctioner down here. One of the most egregious ridiculousness of corporate malfeasance, in my opinion, is Auctioner Hospital. They are a non-profit, but they operate like a for-profit, and they pay the profits go to their board members, and to the high-ups get big salary and bonuses and all that other fun stuff. And then what they do, they'll just go spend some of the other money and just buy up other properties to be able to extend their foothold on the city and city of New Orleans and state of Louisiana, and the metropolitan area of New Orleans at least, to try and get as much money to their board members as they possibly can. See, I think where this guy's coming from is the viewpoint that money printing increased the circulation, so higher rates would soak them back out to a normalized state. But again, the guy went from we need cheaper money so people have access to it to we need more expensive money so that'll slow the economy down. But if your argument is that you want to slow the economy down, then why are you complaining about then you can't say that the economy is bad. If your argument is that you're going to slow the economy down, that means the economy is going really well, and as such, but that they don't want to give Biden any credit for anything, so they're gonna try and mash up a collection of logical fallacies in order to make it look like Biden's economy is bad, when in reality, if you need to slow it down, it means it's good. Exactly, Kimchi. They want to say whatever brings them the most green. And with Donald Trump in office, they'll get that as a byproduct of his policies that are only going to be put in place, in his mind at least, to help himself do well. Let's see. They are pissed that the market does not reflect typical inflation and typical bear markets. Buffett sold because he was making so much profit, and many economists are panicking when Buffett is just smart. Yep. Buffett is wisely buying and selling to generate profit. Little Caesars used to make excellent commercials. Pizza, pizza. Yes, they did. So they're spraying doom while the tickers show continuous economic improvement. Irony, exactly. See, I started buying shares of Siri because Buffett just rotated some capital into that, and the guy Holds figured I would try and ride his coattails. It's a smart idea. I'm a terrible money manager, so the segment isn't very appealing to me. I'm sorry about that, Dean, but if it makes you feel better, my financial situation isn't the greatest at the moment either. So, again, anybody who gives $5, you're helping me out more than you know, because I'm having to deal with the costs of having 2 mortgages until we can actually sell my mother-in-law's house. If you sell the mother-in-law's house, I don't know the best way to go about doing it, especially because the people who want to why is that playing? No, stop it. There we go. I don't know what the hell that was all about. Anyway, so I haven't lost my train of thought because I had an itch in my ear. But yeah, my financial situation is bleak at the moment. I'm trying not to stress about it too much because I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with it. But it's not Biden's fault. It's the fact that I have car expenses on top of having to pay 2 mortgages until we can sell my mother-in-law's house. That's the problem. So let's see. I know we have money experts on the stream. Do tell me how this is anything like before. I don't even know if you can say it's anything like before. I mean, there are so many different variables that come into play. When people try to oh, well, Reagan did it. Well, Reagan did it under a completely different situation whatsoever. Like, completely different situation than what we're dealing with right now. So the idea of, oh, Reagan did it back then. I'm not saying I agree with Reagan doing it back then, but regardless if Reagan was right or not, which probably wasn't, the idea is that doing what he did now doesn't necessarily make it smart. Because you have to look at the situation now and how it is now before making a decision. Hence my comments on the Laffer curve. If you really want to, if you really believe in the Laffer curve and that the voodoo economics of the Laffer curve exist, guess what? You have to prove to me that we're on the point of the Laffer curve where cutting taxes increases revenue, or else I'm not going to believe you. I'm just going to believe you're using the Laffer curve as an argument as to why you should cut taxes on businesses, and then just hoping that nobody understands that why that argument in and of itself is illogical in a vacuum. Impeccable Living had two guys from Grindr back to back. I mean, if they're back to back, that doesn't really seem to work well, right? You'd have to have one front and one back, right? But you know what I'm saying. I know what you're saying. I'm just trying to be silly. But more power to you having a busy night. Congratulations, Mazel Tov. See, Impeccable Living is the one who's getting delivered all the extra pepperoni there, not Jeff. Sorry. Trump literally made a deal with the Saudis to lower oil production to raise oil prices. Exactly. That's what he did. And I have a video about that, at least, explaining why it was Trump's fault. And I'll probably make another one because in my case against Donald Trump, one of them has to be the economy, because Donald Trump screws over people in the economy with his economic ideas because they're only meant to help him and nobody else. See, Trump wants the economy to crash so he can literally buy real estate at cheap prices as well. There you go. Yeah, Reagan had to reverse his policies around 83, 84. Let's see, the point is nobody understands the complexity of all factors. Everything goes right, then great, but often crap happens. You lose money, or better yet, the client refuses to pay you, and then you lien. Like Donald Trump, except Donald Trump I don't think ever had liens successfully put against him. Yes, Roxanne, exactly. Trickle-down economy never works. It's like that meme. Mom, please explain to me how trickle-down economics works. Because first you give the money to all the money to the rich people, and then the daughter's like, and then she's like, that's it. That's all that happens, because you never actually get money trickling down. The only way to get economy going is to have it flow up. Give the money to the money people at the bottom who are buying things, and then they'll be able to buy the things that you want to sell them. If you don't allow them to have the money because you're not paying fair wages, then guess what? They're not going to be able to buy things. So, good night, Chad. Thank you so much for joining. See, obviously Trump understands everything better than everybody who ever existed and anyone that ever will, including aliens once we meet them, thanks to Trump. And Space Force, because Space Force is the best. Nobody has a better force in space than us, because our Space Force is the best Space Force. It's easy, exactly. It should start from the bottom up. Anything we should ask the poor to invest when they start naming more, or rather save money. I mean, making more money. The thing is that, you know, there's that other meme that always makes its way around on my page every once in a while, where some conservative schmuck says, oh, if you give a poor person $600, the money goes away quickly. If you give a rich person $600, they'll duplicate it and triplicate it and make it into much more than just $600. Well, why is that? Well, the reason is because the poor person needs to eat. The poor person doesn't have their bills met. The rich person has already everything paid for, so now this is just play money for that person. And it doesn't matter to that person if it's a spectacular failure or not, because if it's a spectacular failure, he can write off the business loss against his income. If it turns out to be great, then he makes more income. Imagine if that sort of capital was given, and access to that capital was given to the people on the lower levels who could then make their own businesses and survive on their own. That's why I try and support as many local businesses as possible. So, let's see. If it sounds too good to be true, then it is, pretty much. Dan learns so much from us chatters. I do. I mean, yeah, there's a decent amount of things that I do learn from y'all, and there's the things, hopefully, that y'all learn from me, and it's a big learning circle. So, bottom up, UBI, healthcare, college, like most of the rest of the civilized world. Exactly, Goddess Kimchi. Exactly, 100% correct. You are correct. Anyway, it's been about, 2 hours now? Yeah, ish. So, I may, emphasis on may, instead of doing a gaming stream tomorrow on nerdydan.com, I may very well do a live reaction MST3K style. So what does that mean? That means I'll put this image back up. I'll put this image back up on the screen, and we'll pretend like we're watching Mystery Science Theater 3000. But we'll kind of do it riff track style, where I'll be watching the debate on mine, but I'm not going to stream the debate. So I'll watch the debate on my screen, you watch the debate on your screen, meanwhile you join with me. So most likely that's what's going to happen tomorrow. And maybe after the debate I might jump in and play some games or whatever, but I'll probably do a special episode of Liberal Dane Radio tomorrow just to do a live reaction to the debate. I'm sorry, Khalil, that you're calling in right now, but I'm about to end the show. So we can talk about your trip maybe Wednesday, hopefully. I hope your trip went well, but I was just about to end the show. Anyway, let's go ahead and where is the show? There we go. So again, try and call back Wednesday, Khalil, or because I probably won't have call-in tomorrow. I'll probably just be doing a live reaction without any calls or without a soundboard. So if I do get an is what it is, I have to do it on my own. I'll do it my way. So let's see. I'm not a full free market capitalist, but Friedman was right about putting people to work so they don't have to rely on welfare. Absolutely, I agree with 100%. We should absolutely put people to work, so don't have to rely on welfare. But in order to do that, you need to pay them fair wages, and there's always a hesitation to do that. So anyway, that is the end of today's episode of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. I will be back on tomorrow to do a live reaction to the debate between Vice President Harris and 34-time convicted felon Trump. And so hopefully you'll join me for that. Maybe we'll even catch Donald Trump sharding himself again. Until tomorrow, then, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.